Hi, and welcome to Mrs. Pam Reads, where we are continuing in The Magic Circle by Katherine Neville. Our last video was cut short because I had a terrible tickle in my throat, and I apologize. In that video, Joseph of Arimathea was standing on a mountain with a druid watching James, the brother of John, sail off after having delivered a letter from Mary Magdalene. So there's some discussion about the importance of words and the different way words are perceived. And then there is the reading. He starts reading the letter from Mary, and that's where we left off. So let's see. She's talking about Mary, Jesus's mother, and John, the brother of James, who just sailed off, who was charged, so to speak, by Jesus to watch over his mother. So let's see. He's built a little stone house on Ortega Quail Mountain in the outskirts of the city. Perhaps you recall it from your travels. I'm sure the master did, for he selected the location himself and told his mother of it shortly before his death. It's an odd choice of site, the house. I'm told it's only a stone's throw from the sacred well the Greeks believe marks the spot where their goddess, Artemis, or Diana, as the Romans call her, was born. But there is more. Each year at their festival of Estré, the spring equinox, when the goddess's birth is celebrated, Ortega becomes the focus of pilgrims from all over the Greek world. Small children tramp across this mountain searching for the fabled red Easter eggs, symbols of luck and fertility, sacred to the goddess. Ironically, this celebration takes place just during our Pesach, the very week 2 years ago when the master died. So this pagan goddess and her rites seem strangely linked to the memory of the master's death, and also with the one I told you was missing from all the other accounts. A story the master told us up on the mountain the same day you came to my house 2 years ago, just a year from your visit at sea. When I was young, the master told us that morning, high in the wildflower meadow, I went abroad to meet many foreign people. I learned that the people from the far north have a word for something they hold true. Drew, which also means belief, and troth, a pledge. So just as in our Judaic tradition, truth, justice, and faith are one. Priests are also lawgivers. When one of their priests dispenses justice, as our own ancestors did in ancient times, he stands beneath the Duru, D-U-R-U, a tree we call oak. Their priest is therefore called Drew, or Druid in plural, meaning giver of truth. Also, like the ancient Hebrews, these northerners hold most sacred the number 13, the number of months in a year of the lunar calendar, because the 13th moon marks the end of the year. It's the number we identify with change, the number of a new cycle, the number of rebirth and of hope. The number itself is the kernel of truth in the story of Jacob, who wrestled with the angel of God and was transformed into Israel. As everyone tends to forget, our forefather Jacob did not have 12 children. He had 13. Then, as if he'd explained everything clearly and the session were at an end, the master seemed to drift back toward an inner realm and turned from us as if to depart. But master, cried Simon Peter, surely there's some mistake. I admit I know nothing of these oak men you speak of, but among their own people, it's an established fact of Torah that there are 12 tribes of Israel, not 13, as you said. Such a thing has never been questioned. Peter, Peter, God gave you ears. You should pay him back by using them, said the master, laughing as he squeezed Peter's shoulder. When Peter looked crestfallen, the master added, I didn't say 13 tribes, but 13 children. Listen to the story with new ears. Ask yourself why this fact should represent the kernel of truth I was seeking. The master came over to where I sat, Mrs. Mary Magdalene, with the others in the broad ring on the grassy meadow, and he placed his hand on my hair and smiled down at me. One day, Miriam may find the answer, the master told Peter. I've always thought of Miriam as my 13th disciple, but one day she'll also be my first disciple. 13 and 1, the completion of a cycle, Alpha and Omega, the first and last. Then he added, almost as an afterthought, Jacob's forgotten child that I spoke of was named Dinah. As I see it, Dinah herself embodies the kernel of truth in her story. Her name, like that of her brother Dan, means judge. Smiling that strange smile, the master turned away again and went off down the mountain, leaving all of us to follow in his wake. Joseph, you know as well as I that the master never used a parable or a paradox to confuse or merely to titillate. There was motive behind his method. He thought that only if we quested after truth and arrived at it ourselves would the truth be found and be completely understood, thoroughly absorbed, and become a part of us. That morning, the master made clear the number 13 was related to the Hebrew lunar calendar, therefore, to the concept of seasonal change. But why didn't he also mention what he might have known? That the Roman name for Dinah is Diana. And why didn't he tell us the plan I've just spoken of? That he intended one day for his own mother to live in a famous oak grove in Ortega. That her house was to be built beside a well on the very spot where the moon goddess Artemis, also called Diana of the Ephesians, patroness of springs and wells, whose rites are conducted in oak groves throughout the Greek world, was born. No, it could be no accident that this was the last story the master told his flock on what proved to be the last day we were all together. The only mistake was mine in not seeing it before. Joseph, I know that this story and the reports I've sent will give rich fodder to your mind, and that before we meet again, you'll have digested them fully. I myself, meanwhile, shall strive to learn more about the master's private motives, for such, I'm convinced, they were, in sending his mother to the home of this famous Ephesian goddess. Perhaps together you and I can find the missing link that will knot together all these seemingly diverse and scattered events of the master's last days. For now, Joseph, I pray that you walk with God, and I send you my eyes, my ears, my heart, and my blessing, that you may see, hear, love, and believe as the master wished us to do. Miriam of Magdala. When Joseph looked up from this letter, the sun had dipped below the horizon, staining the sea blood red. The churning fog rolled over the waters like sulfuric fumes rising from the depths. Lavernius stood beside him, his eyes on the fiery vista as if lost in thought, and did not speak. There's something in this tale Miriam hasn't mentioned, said Joseph. While it's true, Jacob's daughter Dinah was one of 13 children, she wasn't the 13th child born to him. In Torah, birth sequence, at least among the sons of a tribe, is quite important. Dinah was the last child born to Jacob's elder wife, Leah, but not the last of Jacob's 13. He had more than one wife, then. Your ancestor? Asked Lavernius with interest. Polygamy among the Keltoi was rare and unacceptable within the elite class of Druid. Jacob had 2 wives and 2 concubines, said Joseph. I told you the master's memory was remarkable, especially regarding Torah. All the numbers in Torah are significant, for the Hebrew alphabet, like the Greek, is based on numbers. I agree that the master wanted the story of Dinah to be seen from many angles. Tell me then, said Lavernius. It was dusk, and the fog had encased the beach below. It would quickly grow dark, so Lavernius collected some nearby brush and a few branches and twigs, and chopped at a flint until he'd extracted from his long thong-tied sack to make a hastily improvised fire. The 2 men sat on a nearby rock plateau as Joseph recounted the tale. I think that's a good stopping spot. Yeah, we'll keep it short and sweet, and we'll hear the tale next time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.